Yo, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the PM&A podcast number 11.
11.
Oh, our audio is kind of
1-1.
spiked there. Yeah, so number 11 on the podcast. We're doing something different this time. We're doing a Skype version, so everyone listening, send me your feedback if you're like, that sucked or that was awesome. Thanks for listening. If you guys are listening on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, or any other podcast user-friendly device program that you're using to listen to podcasts, you're listening to this podcast through that, we just like to say thanks. We don't have any sponsors yet because everybody else is dicks. But we'd like to introduce Nate from Rose Pipes & Co. He's come to chat with us today on the podcast. Nate, how's it going, man?
How's it going, boys?
Yo!
Not too bad, buddy. Not too bad. About time. We've been talking for a couple weeks, eh?
Yeah, it's been a while. Trying to plan it out.
Yeah.
But mind you, like,
yeah.
I think when you first started making pipes, I think you messaged some of the guys from the other beard club we used to hang out with.
Yep.
And like you said, hey man, if you guys want some pipes, I'll give you a good deal at first. And then I think a couple of the guys from that.
Yeah,
from
Dave bought one.
Yeah, I think they.
Yeah, Dave bought one and Zach bought one.
Oh, Zach. yeah, Dave bought one. Yeah, no, Zach's a cool guy
Dave,
too.
no,
Anyway,
no,
yeah, man, thanks for coming out. So, making hand pipes. That's your like. So how'd you get into that? Like, how long have you always smoked a pipe or?
No, I started when I was I started smoking cigarillos when I was probably 17, 16-ish, and I had a buddy who was a couple years older, so he could buy them, and just got into that. And then I've always kind of smoked cigars when you're golfing or just hanging out with the boys and whatnot. And then I thought I'd be funny one time, and I went to the cigar shop a couple years ago, and I bought just a Missouri corn cob with a 2-ounce bag of tobacco.
Yeah.
And tried it, loved it, burned on my tongue, didn't know how to pack it properly.
Yeah, you got to do
And that's like the story of every pipe maker I find, is just they burnt the crap out of their tongue and whatnot. And then did some research, figured out how to do it the right way, and then wanted to get a nicer pipe because I like the corn cob, but I wanted the fancy, nice briar piece of wood one.
Beautiful.
And seen how much they were and was like, fuck this.
So
I really love swear.
No, yeah, you can swear.
Yeah,
you
fucking say whatever you want.
I'm trying not to swear as much because other people's like, you shouldn't be swearing. So like, you can swear as much as you want because you're not gonna get complaints. So I got a question just to stop you there. So I was into smoking pipes for a long time. When I was in university, I thought like, I'd go for a walk and smoke a pipe, and then I did the proper packing. But what's with the different, like, is it like a VI number? There's like different like numbers on pipes. Like what's the difference there? Like why is there different pipes with? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't know. I guess it would depend on the brand. Like, what do you mean?
So, like, certain pipes have, like, an insignia carved onto it, like a certain number or something, based off of the quality.
It would be their series. So, like, a brand like, I don't know if you know what Brigham is. It's a Canadian-made brand. They do, like, a dot systems. They have, like, a 1 to 4 dot system.
Dots.
So the higher the dot on the stem work, the more quality the briar.
Okay, that's what I was trying to get at, yeah.
Yes, it depends on the brand. So, like, different brands like Dunhill, Brigham, I think 7Ellie does it as well. They do like you said, like a dot system. So it'd come down to that strictly, depending on the quality. So
yeah, and like
I do that.
what's like a high end briar? Like what's the most dots you can get? Like 4 dots or something?
Yeah, it would again. Only certain brands do the dot system. I know Brigham I think it does up to 4 dot. So.
And then what would that set you back? You think for like that kind of a pipe?
Now I don't even know what they charge for Brigham, but like I know my grandfather gave me his whole collection a month back, and he sat down and showed me each piece. And he showed me the nicest pipe in the whole collection. It was, I think, 35 pipes. The nicest one was a 4 dot Brigham, and he said back in the day it was $80. And I kind of chuckled at it. That was 60 years ago.
Yeah, I bet you if you Googled that now, it'd be coming up something crazy.
Yeah, ridiculous. So.
Man,
like I know there are some pipes. Like I listen to quite a few pipe podcasts, and there's some guys, and I just listened to one the other day, and he was making pipes out of grease, and his pipes retail from $450 to $650.
Jesus.
So, yeah, it gets freaking. And there's some guys who are over $1,000 a piece. Like you're talking some guys who've been doing this for 40 years and have it right down to. It gets unreal. So
what is the price range for yours then?
I charge 150 to 250. So.
And
Wow.
they're all handmade by you?
Yeah, I do everything. I buy the blocks. I use cherry wood right now. I'm gonna probably get into briar in the next year or so. I really wanted to refine my work with the wood before I got to that point.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go out and buy. Briar's expensive to buy just as a maker, let alone to potentially screw it up. So, and I really wanted to refine my work with the acrylic as well, the mouthpieces. So you buy the mouthpieces as like a raw cube, and then you turn it down to a rod, and then you work it into the shapes, and you have to drill it yourself, and then you have to do the same thing with the blocks, and they take about 10 to 12 hours a piece. So
Whoa. So,
yeah,
like, it feels like
I didn't know what I was getting into when I started.
yeah, it sounds like it's like a
Holy
labor of
cow.
love. Like, do you feel like
It-
the
it-
time you put in is the amount of money you get back, or do you just like people enjoying your pipes? Like, what's?
Yeah, the thing is like it's hard because that's the thing people ask me, like, you could charge so much more when you do the math, and I'm like, yeah, but like I just want to get pictures of people with my work and tell me how much they love it, and then one day down the road, if I get to the point, like I said, I'll go to Briar eventually, then yes, my prices will go up, but for the most part, it's really satisfying when someone sends me a message over Instagram like, hey, I got my pipe, and dude, I love it, like it's my favorite pipe. Like I had a guy in Texas message me, and he was a leather worker, and he messaged me, I think it was about a year and a half ago, and he was just like, hey, like let's just do a straight up trade, some leather work for a pipe, how's that sound? And I was like, that sounds great. And we did it, and he owns, I think he said like 30 pipes, and he said of all the pipes, he said he like mine smoked the smoothest. And I just explained like I really worked hard on refining my drilling and getting that all lined up, because if the pipe doesn't function properly, it doesn't matter what it looks like.
Yeah, I think I bought like a cheap $20 pipe that had like it wasn't briarwood or anything. It was like some piece of shit, but I used it for years, and I really got into. So there's this smoke shop in Kitchener called. They say it's the oldest smoke shop in Canada, in Kitchener. Um,
Oh, really?
I forget what the name of it is. Oh, jeez, this is terrible. I'm terrible with names. It's right downtown Kitchener, but anyway, they make their own tobacco, and they do all the processing there. But it's like a tobacco shop. I'm sure they sell pipes. But it's not like they make them themselves or anything. So I'd have to Google what's the name of it is. It's like the Hooter
You're talking
Hotel
about
or something.
that one in Kitchener?
Yeah, the one downtown on King Street. But so that's how I got into smoking pipes too. Actually, I'd smoke cigars as a kid. Like I think we were doing like wasn't even backwoods. It was like those garbage tipped ones that kind of tasted
Oh,
like
the Colts?
yeah, the Colts, and then
Prime times.
yeah, like rum or something, the rum ones, and
Yep.
and I'd go to parties, and I'd bring me and my buddies, we'd always bring a pack of those little cigarette littles or whatever, and then we go party,
Yep.
and then I got into like smoking cigars, and now when I get the chance, I like to smoke a nice Cuban cigar.
Jer? Walper Tobacco
Yeah,
Shop.
the Walper. Yeah. They say that's the oldest tobacco shop in Canada, I think. So I don't know if that's
I'm gonna have to
true.
look into it after
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah, man, you should hit them up and tell them you're selling pipes. Like they sell pipes, but like they do strictly tobacco, and then they make their own tobacco. That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Because I have, there's the Barracoa in London. They sell my pipes as well.
Oh, nice.
And it was just strictly, I went there for a couple years buying cigars, and then just stumbled into pipes, and then they eventually sent me a message and were like, we've seen your work, come on in and let's
That's
talk.
awesome. So right now, are you only selling out of one store? Or?
Right now, yeah, there's also Havana Castle in London, but I don't, I've tried to contact them. They don't seem super interested, but whatever. I'm also quite busy with commissions and stuff, and also doing like just pieces for like my own artistic freedom.
Yeah.
So
Well, you got to think. So I don't know anything about. So I don't smoke a lot of weed. I smoked in like not a whole lot, but can you smoke marijuana in like a tobacco pipe?
yeah, you can. It was funny. I did a show last year with 10 pipes, and I had quite a few people that were like in their 40s and 50s that would come up, and they were like, can I smoke weed out of it? And my wife was with me because I needed backup, and she just was like, you could smoke whatever you want, I don't care. And it's true, like you can smoke anything you want out of it. The one thing with the weed though is like with weed is it will break down really quick into an ash, and if you touch the ash, it'll come up to the draft hole and probably right into your mouth.
Oh,
See, now
So
I
I
heard
would
there
just-
was. Sorry, I had heard that there was a
Don't interrupt.
piece that you put. No. It has to do with that. To avoid that, there's a little. Looks like a small little brush, and apparently you can put that in the stem, and it'll
Oh,
keep
really?
that. Yeah, I was talking to somebody about that this week. I was asking them because I was gonna ask you about it, and they were saying that there's a little filter, and you can put that into the stem, the pipe part of it, and it'll
Yeah.
actually keep that from happening.
Because you got to think, man, that market's about to open up like.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Like a
Like
I have a
prom
huge
dress
sticker
on
in the
prom
back.
night.
Yeah, yeah. It's not as tight as a nun.
I
In,
have-
oh Jesus, I shouldn't say that. Anyway, yeah, man, you got to think like that'd be a pretty good market to get into. Like, cause
Yeah,
always,
I've had a lot of people message me about that, and like I had one guy who I won't get into it too much, but his he had a family member that had a stroke and couldn't work his one side, and wanted a pipe because he smoked weed for the pain and everything, and was
Mhm.
like, "Do you have any ideas? Like, you know, you do whatever you want, straight up your concept. Just tell me how much." And I was like, "All right, here's my price. Like, I'll just give you a crazy deal because of the situation." I ended up making him. I don't know if you guys know what a poker is.
Nope.
So it's the pipe that you can just sit it down and it'll sit straight up. So I drilled it and made it all the ways so that way it can go and not worry about it falling over with a traditional oval bottom. So
cool.
and then I've had I actually went to Baracoa to drop off some pipes, and I had some guy come up behind me, and I have a big rose pipe sticker in the back of my pickup truck, and this guy I was pulled into. Yeah, I was at a stoplight, and the guy came up beside me in the turn lane, and he had roll-up windows, and he jumps over his driver's seat into the passenger seat, starts doing on his window, and I had my brother with me, and I was like, "Look at this guy, what's he doing?" And I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "You make pipes?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's going on?" He's like, "You smoke weed?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "I do. Can I get a business card?"
Oh, no way. It's like
It's
one of those
yeah.
Nice.
Have you seen a $1 bill, man?
Yeah, it was and he even said, he was like, "You must be excited. October's coming."
Yeah.
So-
awesome. Yeah, because I know that a friend of mine said that it could. So if you have a pipe and you smoke weed out of it, you can't smoke tobacco out of it again. Is that true? Like it'll wreck the pipe.
'Cause, yeah. If you smoke too much of even one particular blend of tobacco, it's called ghosting. You'll always have a ghost effect of that tobacco. So anybody who's ever contacts me about a pipe, and if I know that they smoke weed as well, I'll tell them just straight up, listen, if you plan on smoking weed out of it,
It's done.
my
it
preference,
strictly-
I wouldn't. You can do whatever you want, but you will potentially ghost your pipe with the taste of weed.
Oh yeah,
Holy cow.
I didn't know
It's
that.
I wouldn't do it, but again, I really like just smoking tobacco for the flavor aspect, and I wouldn't want anything to taint it. So
Weed wouldn't burn hotter or anything like that. Like temperature wise, it wouldn't mess with the pipe.
no, but again, no, it wouldn't last that long to do any damage. Your biggest thing would just be what you choose to get your flame. So
But because I know the proper technique, isn't it no, correct me on this. I just do it and I don't even realize I'm doing it. So it's like baby fingers, lady fingers, daddy finger or something? You do it in 3 different levels when you're packing a pipe?
yep, yeah. So to traditionally pack a pipe, you would do I never heard the lady finger thing, by the way, the whole quote you just gave, but I knew
I could have had a
when I
dream
would
about
say-
it. I don't know if that's a real thing. I don't know if that's a real
You
thing.
said all 3. I'm like, oh, he's talking about packing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So traditionally, to pack a pipe, I just went on YouTube and found it because I didn't know anybody that smoked a pipe when I originally got into it before I even started making them. And yeah, you would do traditionally 3 packs. So you would do your first initial one, and you wouldn't pack it super tight, and then It's funny because they say it takes 10 to 20 years to become good at packing a pipe.
What?
To do proper. Yeah, it's wild. That's why all the good smokers are old.
Yeah, man.
But
Great grandpa.
yeah, they say so. The first pinch isn't put it in lightly but not too light, which is where this gets annoying. And then the next pinch you're gonna do is a little bit more firm, and then your third pinch, you again like the first one, you want it light but not too light because you don't want it to just fly out of your pipe. But at the same time, once you light it, you're gonna tamp it down, right? So you're gonna light it, and all that tobacco on top's gonna bloom like a flower, and you're gonna take a tamper. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yep, I know tampers.
Yep.
Yeah, so then you're going to tamp your ash, right? And then what you would do is you would let it, what I do from what I learned, is you let it go completely out. So just set down for a second. And then you would take, your your Zippo, your pipe lighter if you have one. You could just use a Bic, but old school traditionalists would say use a match. Wait till the strike's gone and just use the wood, and you would light the whole top, get that thing really smoking, and then toss your match and then tamp it back down to an even nice level, and then just puff on it for a little bit, exhale, and blow a little bit of air through the pipe as well, and then pull back through, and once you get it going really good, you're good to go, and just tamp it as it goes.
Yeah, man. I taught Ernie how to tamp down a pipe.
Yep.
He bought a corn cob and he was just jamming it in there. I'm like, dude, that's not just jamming. He's like, keeps going out. This doesn't work. I'm like, you gotta do it like a little bit light on the bottom and then halfway on the top. Actually, I didn't realize that it was so extensive at the last one. The last one, what I would do is I would get I'd kind of ball it up in my hand and then flatten it over top of the pipe, so it was kind of like almost like a bed, but not pushing down too much that it would affect the consistency of the other two levels. I didn't realize you're supposed to go through all those other steps.
Oh, it's ridiculous. See, and the thing is, like, we're starting up a pipe club in London, me and a couple buddies and stuff who are really into the art and the craft of it, and just more or less the hobby. They don't want to make pipes, but they just want to like smoke a pipe and hang out with the boys on Saturdays.
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
And they were like, "You're gonna have to do like a session just to show us how to do it." I'm like, "That's fine." And almost anybody who I've personally known who have bought a pipe, they're like, "I'll buy a pipe, but you're coming over for my first smoke so we can learn." And almost every single time I sit down, I'll sit down right with them. I'll even bring the tobacco. I'll supply it. Be like, "Hey, your first pipe, your first smoke's on me. Don't worry about it." And they do it with me, and then sure enough, I'll be like, all right, and now we're going to tamp it. And when they tamp it, the tamp goes right to the bottom of the pipe because they followed what I did, but they did not use nearly as much tobacco. And I'm like, holy cow, like you're going to burn your tongue.
Yeah.
Well, you should just use the baby finger and the cousin finger and the uncle fingers.
Shut the fuck up. Listen, I heard that from a guy. It was like a 40-year-old guy, and he explained it to me. That's how I first heard about it. He's like, you think of it like fingers.
Daddy finger,
I've never heard it.
Finger.
That's good.
Yeah, so like baby finger, lady finger.
You should have it Daddy Shark, and then you go Mama Shark.
Don't sing that bloody song.
Baby fucking shark.
Don't do it.
It's like you take the one bunny ear and over the other bunny ear and
so
through the hole.
Put it through the hole.
When you're selling pipes, would be interesting. Is like, what did you just say? Something of the hole? What the fuck?
He was talking about tying your shoes.
Okay. So when you're selling a pipe, do you have it set up for like this is for like a beginner pack or something? Like if you're new to smoking a pipe, like maybe you give them like an instructional thing. Like do you do stuff like that?
No, I don't. But I do generally like we'll send them like a message like, hey, here's some links to check if you want. If you want just how I do it, here you go. But I don't generally give like a I guess like a how-to.
If most people are going to spend $250 on a pipe, they probably aren't. This isn't their first time. This isn't their first rodeo.
Do you have a website? Sorry.
Yeah, like I've had some people like who are like first timers and they just want like a really nice pipe, and I'll generally tell them like stick to the 150 area, like get yourself this one, because it generally like just picking on the shapes. If you pick a particular shape, it's only going to get so expensive. So. Like if you get more into like the freehand pieces, so I can't machine them as much, and I'm doing them strictly by hand. And by machine, I mean like working a lathe.
Yeah.
Then if I'm working the lathe, it's a lot cheaper for me. Like in just time management, obviously, like wearing. So I'll generally like, tell them just say like what like I don't ever like to say like what's your budget, because I find that so rude and
yeah
put it there. But at the same time, I'm like. I don't want to see someone like come up to be like, hey, it's my first pipe. I want, I don't know, a bulldog with a diamond shank, with a horseback, mouth with a stem. And I'm like, okay, well, that's like the top of my, that's an intense pipe. And I'm like, you don't need that for your first pipe. I get it. Like the look is iconic in a bulldog, but like, let's get a billiard. Let's just get you trying a pipe.
Yeah. So, just be like, you want to go with the poodle with a gemstone.
Or, honestly, like I've actually turned away people. I had someone message me, I don't know, the other day, and they just were interested in a piece and all this and wanted like, this pipe and this shape and this color and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, how much? And I was like, 180. And they were like, okay, I've never smoked a pipe. Like, what tobacco should I get? And I was like, you know what? Like, how about you just go, have you ever smoked at all? No, but I just love the look of them. I'm like, okay, how about you just, just for my sake, go buy yourself a corn cob. It's like $15.
Mm-hmm.
Go buy an ounce of tobacco. Try it for a month. If you love it, come back to me. Like, don't waste your time and money. Like, I'll feel bad.
Yeah,
like,
but it might just be an Instagram photo that they're shooting for, right? It's like if they get an expensive pipe in there, like they might get a couple extra likes depending on how much they spend on it.
But
that's true.
Definitely something to be said about packing a pipe correctly. Like when I first started smoking, I went on a fishing trip with my brother and my dad, Ernie. And we're out of the boat.
You have another brother?
Yeah, I know I don't. Fuck you. So then we're out of the boat, and I packed it perfectly. And I'm just like, it's like I said before about even you putting the work in there. That saying, labor of love. You're packing it perfectly. You're sitting there on the boat, like you don't hear anything. You light a match, and you just do it properly, with using the proper fuel, and then you just smoking it, and like. Putting the time and effort into focusing on how smoking it properly is just as nice as like just smoking it, like the ambiance and the smell of the tobacco. Like, so like you said, figure it out. Spend a month if you even like it. Don't waste the $150 because like once you do understand and go through those steps, you can appreciate the artistic work after the fact.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like even just like you've said it perfectly. Just the whole process of setting up and getting it right, and then even having like. Once the pipe's going and you kind of just sit back and you go, I did everything perfect. Like that is like so satisfying. And then, obviously you get the tobacco and the flavors and everything else that comes with it. But you're right. It's definitely, that's a lot of the stuff in the community here. Like the process of it is just so relaxing.
Well, that's like smoking a long cigar. Like,
exactly the same thing.
Just to sit down and like enjoy a long cigar. People are like, oh God. Like if you get a nice like long Churchill, which is like, if you already, do you know what Churchill is?
Yeah, but I can't smoke a long cigar though. It makes me sick. I can do a pipe, no problem.
Yeah, but it's not about inhaling it. So it's the time you sit and enjoy it and the preparation. So they've actually done scientific studies. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this. I know.
I think I know where you're going with it.
Yeah, so it's like a meditative state, man. Like it's like
there was where was I listening to it? There's a podcast I listened to, Pipes Magazine, and they were talking about it. And there was a study done back in like I don't want to quote the year or anything, but it was like before I was born, and it proved that it actually dropped blood pressure levels because of the relaxation that comes involved, like after like a long day at work.
Yep.
It's unreal.
Yeah, to simplify it, meditation is when you're focusing on one simple thing. Like for instance, a lot of people focus on like a breath, but when you're just sitting focusing on one thing, when you're like tapping your pipe and you're not thinking, God damn, that traffic was pissing me off on my way home. You're focusing on that one simple thing and you're enjoying it, and then you're releasing endorphins once you're enjoying it. Like it's all there's a whole metabolic science behind it. Like it's amazing. So. You're doing a good thing. So, talking about flavors and stuff, what flavors are you into?
I like English blends, so I really like Latakia. I've tried some Virginia. You guys know anything about tobaccos?
So the only tobacco I've smoked. Oh my God! Go back to fucking school. Smoked it was a very simple English blend, but also I go to that tobacco place that I told you about in Kitchener, and they make a nice. A multi-cherry blend.
Okay, yep.
Trip cherry is what
Triple
it's called.
cherry.
I love that.
Oh my God,
so
I love
good.
cherry. Yeah.
That's like the classic. Like my grandfather smoked cherry. Like that's what everybody always says. So
fucking awesome.
I've never tried a cherry blend. So the tobacco that my grandfather smoked, I actually have a bunch of at the house that I smoke occasionally, and it's not a cherry blend, but it's still in production. But anyway, I smoke more English blends, so they're typically they're jam packed with Latakia. I don't smoke. I have a little bit of Virginias. I don't like them as much. I find they're a lot more coarse. I'm not a big fan of Perique. I have some aromatics. So aromatic, for everyone who doesn't know, they're more. They're better for people if you're going to smoke it like a campfire and you want everyone to be okay with you smoking. Smoke an aromatic. So I smoke one blend. It's called Vikings blend.
Ooh, and I already like it.
I know that's why. When my story started with the corn cob and I bought a blend, it was Viking. I read it. I'm like, I'm taking that home.
Yeah,
They're like,
what's
do
up.
you want to know what's in it? I'm like, don't care.
Nope, I don't
So it's vanilla
good
bean
marketing
and
right
vanilla bean and I think some
Ooh.
nutty flavors, but all you taste is vanilla. Like it is the only aromatic I'll smoke if I'm gonna smoke an aromatic.
Man, sounds like I
So-
need to get back into pipe smoking.
I told you.
Oh man, yeah, I gotta like right now. I like once in a while. I luckily get like a really nice cigar. So I work for this businessman who once in a while. So I work for his family, and he's in the business, and he trades in like cigars and pens and things like that. So once in a while, I'll catch him where he's like, "Hey man, do you have like an hour to just hang out and drink some nice scotch and smoke a cigar?" And I'm always like, "Oh yeah," because he pulls out like these
Yeah.
old cigars, but like, now, do you know? I'm not sure about this. Like, can you buy tobacco from different countries? Like, can you buy like a Cuban chopped up tobacco to smoke in a pipe?
So there is I can't quote the blend, but you can buy tobacco from the States. The problem is you're gonna get hit with duty.
Yeah.
So that sucks. I've done it once, and I think I bought a pound of tobacco. Excuse me.
Well, that's a lot of tobacco.
I bought a pound of tobacco. It was $70, and I think by the time it got to my door, I think it was like 110.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was a pound. Like I still have it.
Yeah, that's serious.
So-
That's some serious tobacco.
Yeah, but there is I
Some
can't
wacky
remember.
tobacco
Just-
prices, that's for sure.
You're fucking
Right?
wacky.
I just heard on a podcast they were talking about some blend that was literally like, I guess some guy came in and was like, I want a cigar blend and a pipe tobacco, and they made it. I think it's a Scottish blend, but I can't remember the name of it. But you'd have to do some digging, but there is blends out there that taste like Cubans.
That's
Be worth it to look
I can't
into.
believe I think I haven't smoked a pipe in probably maybe 5 years since I got married, and I just but it makes sense if like why don't I just smoke a pipe now if like cigars are so expensive. You're spending at least for me personally, I'm spending at least $30 a stick on a cigar.
Oh,
You know,
it's
so
like a whole tin.
right, exactly. So if I just got another pipe and then just bought some more tobacco, I could smoke like
Yeah.
a cigar like all the time.
You'll be I know a guy that makes them.
Yeah,
you know,
no,
I
thank you.
I know a guy that makes them and would give you a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
That's all right. Yeah.
I was talking to a guy before. Actually, I was talking to the owner of Bearco, and he was he's a cigar guy, but he hired a guy who is literally his pipe guy.
Mm.
And he was saying he was talking to some client that came in, wanted like a $50 stick, which is outrageous.
Mm.
And he was just like, he's like, you smoke this in like, about an hour. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm not trying to get you off the cigars because I make more if you buy cigars, but
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you think about it, you can get the same enjoyment out of a pipe. You can get it handmade to, if you like red, or, if you're a Viking guy, you can get a really cool pipe maker to make you a Viking axe pipe.
Oh,
And then you can
shit.
go buy a tin of tobacco that you'll get 15 smokes out of it and spend a portion of what you're going to spend on that one stick of cigar.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. Like, I used to have a humidor and all that, and once I got into pipes, I got rid of my humidor. Like, I get way more enjoyment out of the pipe.
Yeah, man. I just thought of that now. Like, why? I can't believe I missed the boat on that. So, what's the best way? Like, how do you keep your tobacco? Like, someone told me that once you get I get mine in like a Ziploc bag,
Yeah.
and then after it sits for a little bit, throw in a piece of lettuce.
I heard
Oh,
apple.
really?
I heard an apple.
Or yeah, what do you do?
So it depends on the tin. So like, you guys know the brand Peterson? I'm
No,
assuming
I'm
they
not
have
familiar
the
with
tins
that.
of tobacco that look like the silver coins, and they're like the twist pressure tops.
Oh, okay.
So if you get tobacco in those, generally you can leave your tobacco in them, but at the same time, you don't know how well that seal is after you've already popped it. So what I do is I keep mine in a mason jar, and it should generally keep its moisture level. If it starts to get a little bit dry, again, I'm not a tobacconist, but what I do, because I heard it through the grapevine of the community, is stick an orange peel in your tobacco for about 5 hours, take it out, shake your tobacco around, stick the orange peel, a different one back in, and then take it out, and you'll find that the tobacco sucks the moisture out of the orange peel and it doesn't take the taste. Or like, I think it was I think one of you guys said an apple.
Yeah, I heard an apple too. Try lettuce. Try orange. Try an apple. You can have
it's the same kind of thing with the lettuce, though. It takes
tobacco flavored salad in there.
Yeah.
It takes the moisture out of it.
Yeah, because the thing is, if your tobacco gets dry, what they say is too dry is if you can grab your tobacco and you can like run it through your fingers and you can hear it cracking. It's too dry.
Yeah.
Oh.
So for that pound of tobacco, like you said, where do you have that stored?
I have half of it in a mason jar and half of it's in my freezer.
Oh, interesting.
So I can technically put it all in a mason jar and I could probably actually cellar it and let it age probably about 5 years and then see what it does. So truth be told, I bought it. Yeah, so
you can cellar tobacco?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a whole series by a brand of tobacco, Cornell and Deal, that they designed a whole set called the Cellar series, and you're supposed to age the tins of tobacco for 10 to 15 years.
So you got to buy it and not smoke it.
Yeah, so like they say, like their thing is like buy 3 to 5 tins and smoke one and free. Whatever, and I'm like, holy cow.
Well, I guess it's the same thing with the humidifier. Like I have a buddy of mine, I think he bought some Monte Carlos, I think 10 years ago, and he says he's been had those they're still there 10 years ago in the humidor, sorry, and he said I could sell those for $400 a stick. Because I had the age, I had the package, and I had the proof to say that these are still the exact same ones. He could sell them for $400 to some rich pricks. He said. He actually gave me one for my wedding. He came to my stag and dough, and he gave me one. It was probably the smoothest. Like it was so amazing. It was very cool.
Yeah, Monte Cristos are amazing.
Yeah, I think it was a number.
My brother's got a big humidor. He's really into cigars, and I take care of the pipes.
Yeah. But I can't believe I missed the boat on that. Like, you know what I mean? Think about that. Like,
yeah, no. I heard it through like I said, the guy at Barracoa said it, and I just was like, that made so much sense. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to slam the cigar industry, but like, why would you buy a stick at that price when you could buy literally a whole tin?
Mm-hmm.
And if you smoke the pipe right, if you like the hour to 45-minute resting, if you smoke the pipe nice and slow the right way, it's going to take you just as long as you have the right gauge of bowl. And you can find a pipe maker that'll make you the right gauge that'll make that pipe last that long.
Yeah.
So how many different pipes do you make?
I guess a better question.
It really just.
Sorry to interrupt.
Well, the thing is like it's endless, right? So like there's some shapes I haven't done yet because like generally I do commissions. So like most people come to me, they're like, I want a billiard, a Dublin, a poker, a lavette, like your standard like top 10 shapes, and then it's just I wanted this color and this. But there are some shapes like a blowfish. I've never done a blowfish, and I really want to do one. So I'm getting to the point where I want to do a series of like 5 pipes that are like artistically just what's in my head, and I want to sell them off and be done with it. I want to do 5 shapes I've never done before. So I don't know how many shapes there are out there, but like it's getting to the point now where like you're getting hybrid shapes. So I had a guy message me who wanted a hybrid shape. So we're combining 2 shapes to make a new shape, and we're going to name it because it's never been done before.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
What now? You've seen there's in that Tarantino movie, Inglourious Bastards, the pipe he smokes at the beginning. The pipe he smokes at the beginning of that scene where he's interrogating that French guy. You know what I'm talking about?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen the movie.
Okay, I'll have to show you. But it looks kind of like it's basically the same kind of pipe that Sherlock Holmes smokes. It has it comes up in like a bowl in like I'd have to send it to you, I guess.
Is the rim of the bowl is it white?
Yeah.
Oh, what is that called? It's a calabash. I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. If it's like this, have you guys seen the trailer for the new Sherlock Holmes movie with?
That's a calabash. Okay. Yeah. It's the same.
That terrible one?
It's based.
Yes.
Yeah, it was fucking god awful, just so you know.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it either.
Don't bother.
Calabash. Is that with a K?
Yeah, it's a calabash.
Yeah.
I haven't made one of those either, and that's one of the pipes on my list.
Yeah, that's it, but it had a really, really big head on it.
And it's hilarious because he does it in a way where he shows off to the French guy. The guy's like, can I smoke my pipe? He goes, of course you can smoke your pipe. It's your own house. And so he's interrogating this guy, and then he pulls out this giant that giant pipe and starts smoking it, and it's just hilarious to watch because it's like, whoa, that's a serious fucking pipe, man.
Yeah, it was really big. Like from the pictures of the one that you said, it is that one, but it was just really big.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So okay, so that's good memory
it's
then.
The same. It's the same. It's the same. I didn't realize that each so if you're looking at somebody walking down the street and they have a certain size pipe, every different pipe shape has a different name. I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, so like every shape has its own name,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously like artists and artisans can put their own creations on it. So like just you can name it whatever you want, and they'll have themes. Like that's a big thing now. You get pipes that are themed. So like I have one in my own collection. I made a werewolf poker that sits, and it's just gnarly looking, and it's a poker, but it's werewolf themed. But
That's cool. You posted on your Instagram. Oh, by the way, if people want to get in touch with you and like the buy pipes, do they just go right to your Instagram?
yeah, just send me a message on Instagram, and I'll get back to you probably within like 5 minutes.
So just so people know, it's Rose Pipes Co. So Rose and then pipe and then plural and then CO is the Instagram. Rose Pipes Co. is Instagram. You can find that. You can find that. I posted about it. Whoever's listening to this, or they heard it on Instagram, go on his Instagram and follow it. And like, you have this cool one. So this is like a genuine one that I've always seen. One of my favorites. Bing Crosby smoking this like long pipe. I love
Heck
those
yeah.
long pipes. Like what's
Like the
what?
fucking
that's-
Gandalf one.
No.
Oh,
Oh
No.
shit.
It's yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's so generally Bing's what's it called? So every brand kind of does their own take on Bings,
Yeah,
and they
it
name
looks
it
like
what they want.
Gandalf.
So like,
It's not fucking Gandalf's. Let him finish. Sorry, go ahead,
I
man.
mean, a church warden you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
So Bing's choice is basically it's an extended billiard with like a pencil shank. So generally the pipe's gonna be between like 6 to 8 inches long, just the shank to the stem. That's not including the bowl, and it's a really like pronounced bowl, and typically there's like a transition piece between the stem and the shank.
Mhm.
So I posted a picture of Bing smoking his, and then I made myself one.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's right now my favorite pipe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But Ernie's talking about the one that Gandalf had. Like, is it? Those are kind of ridiculous, though,
you
right?
can smoke
Like,
it from the fucking next room.
what's
I got one.
You have one?
I have one.
So it's like it has like a small bowl, right? And that kind of
yeah.
it has
Yeah,
like a
church warden. Yeah, they're huge. Like you guys, like I obviously wasn't in. I'm only 27. I wasn't in the industry when Lord of the Rings came out, but from what I've heard from talking to other makers and listening to podcasts and stuff, the industry exploded when Lord of the Rings came out, because there's always been church wardens, but also they became, for people who want to do LARPing and, who just want to pick up the pipe and, they go to the movies, see Lord of the Rings, and they bought themselves a church warden just to go to the movies as a prop. Like,
yeah. Oh man, that's awesome. That's hilarious that you bring up the LARPing thing. That's definitely is a thing. Like those LARPers.
Hello?
Hey,
Are you still there? I hope the audio didn't go.
are you there still?
Well, anyway, we've been trying to figure out the audio with the podcast, and sometimes they kick off, but hopefully we can get them back on the line. So it's pretty cool, Ernie. I think he turned his audio off.
I think he turned his audio off too. Yeah, no, I just looking at his Instagram here. It's some of them are just amazing that he's built. Like it's pretty crazy to see.
I think he makes them by hand, and what he does is he buys all the separate units. I think he might have like paused his audio on us there. Oh, give him another ring there, Ernie.
Yeah, we're gonna call him.
But if you guys go to his Instagram, like he makes these beautiful pipes, and sometimes there's like two parts to them, and like it's like he has this one called a rusticated Lovett with a hand cut stem. Oh, we're getting a little ding-ling, ling. He makes like a rusticated Lovett with a hand cut stem. Like the guy puts in. Oh, sorry, but yeah, we were just. I don't know what happened to kick you out there, but I was just talking about.
why? It just came across my screen and was like poor connection, and I was like, hello.
Yeah, that's the issue with like these Skype things. But we were just talking about, like, we were telling people about your Instagram and how they can just go on it and they can see all the customized, modified, like, You made this customized modifying corn pipe where you added like this cool end to it. Like, so
Yeah.
you posted a while ago. You make your own tools to make the pipes.
Yeah, so there's a couple places in the States you can go, and obviously if you're American, there's tons of makers in the States. Just by the way, there's I don't know how many there are in Canada. I can count maybe 3 on my maybe 3 makers including myself. But yeah, so the problem is there's a lot of tools. Like you can't just go to Home Hardware or Canadian Tire or Princess Auto and buy what you need to do this. You have to typically those businesses you can go to, like Vermont Freehand, for instance, in the States is a big one, and you can buy all these tools. And well, when you buy from the States, you have to pay. One, you have to switch your currency to the States, and then you have your duty, then you have your shipping, and it for a $12 tool, it turns into $40.
Oh geez.
Holy cow.
So it's easier just to do the research, figure out what I need to do. And I just the one day was screwing around and trying to make a new bowl shape. So drilling out the bowl instead of like I said, buying the at the end of the day, like the $40 tool, I'll just make one.
Nice.
So it's just something you have to sometimes.
I'm trying to think here. So you're hand making the pipes. You're making the tools themselves. So how you've been doing this since what, 2016 it said or something? How long have you been making pipes?
I've been doing it since 16, but I've been doing it as a business since 17.
Oh yeah.
And at the time, I wasn't nearly as into it as I am now. Originally, I started with just like, honestly, like a drill press. I hand cut everything with a hacksaw, and I didn't have a lathe either. And I was also, you can buy like pre-made stems. Like you could buy stems that are like partially finished, and that's what I started with. Now I've been doing like totally hand cut for quite a while now. So.
So are you into machining? Like, so for work wise, obviously you gotta like. Did you do that in like school or anything where you learned how to use a lathe or?
Yeah, I in high school I did wood shop, machine shop, welding, auto, and I really took to machine shop and working a lathe. And then I only took one wood shop, but I definitely was originally thinking about going into the trades of machining, and then I swapped over to mechanics and actually worked at a dealership for a little bit. And then where I work now, I actually work for Cami in Ingersoll. I don't know if you boys know that.
Nope. What's that?
So it builds the Equinox. We used to build the train as well for GM. So they're lovely SUVs.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Where in there are you?
I'm in assembly, so I'm right on the trim line. So I install seat belts, and I put the VINs on the cars and all that kind of stuff. So.
Sorry, and you said Ingersoll?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where you are now.
So, like, are you hoping to eventually just make this a full-time gig, or always just keep it the pipe making a hobby, or what do you want to do?
I would, if I could go full-time, I would do it today. I'd quit my job. I don't think it'll ever happen because the benefits, like my job has benefits.
Yeah.
The benefits, it's just that's what more or less keeps me at Cami. I'm also not at the point of sales to quit.
Yeah.
But like I get that asked quite often, like, how many more pipes you gotta sell till you can quit? And I was like, I'd have to sell like 2 or 3 pipes a day on top of that, finishing them. And at my job, there's no way I can do it.
You'd have to hire somebody.
Yeah, like I work. Yeah, like I work 8 hours, and then, like, I know you. One of you, I can't remember which one. One of you guys seen my post this morning. I was up at 4 a.m. in the shop for like an hour and a half before I went to my real job. Like, that's just the things I have to do right now. Then even like, tomorrow's Saturday and then Sunday, and I'm going to be up at 5 a.m. and in the shop till about 9 or 10, and then getting on with my day. Like, that's just the way it has to be in work. So.
Yeah.
So from raw product stage to ready to call the customer that it's ready, what's the timeline for that?
So generally, like, again, it varies piece to piece, and obviously like a freehand takes a lot longer than like if I can just do like a straight up billiard, which is your general, like, most of the time when people talk about what their grandpa smoked, it's typically a billiard or like a full bent billiard, which is like what Sherlock Holmes traditionally smoked.
Yeah.
But generally it's going to be anywhere from 8 till about 12 hours. So
8 to 12 hours of full, like from start to finish. That's not. Is it? Does that seem long? Like that doesn't seem too.
So how I got into it was the community is super open and honest, and like you could literally just message a maker in the States and ask him, and he would tell you almost everything, because there are some things that are like you have to have the time in and be respected the community to find out. And I remember I became really good friends with a guy out in Virginia that makes incredible pipes, and I asked him like, how long is it taking you? And at that time he was in it for 5 years. He had been in his local news. His pipes go from $300 to $500, and he was saying it took him upwards of 10 hours a piece. And I'm like, okay, well at least I'm on par.
Yeah,
So,
like he's 5 years in. It still takes like just a couple
and he's doing it full time. So
oh jeez, yeah.
Because I'm just thinking like you're 8 hours of man hours, right? And what is it? And you said the cheapest one that you sell is about 150. You said, right?
You said 250.
150, 150 to 250.
150 to 250.
I've only ever charged free once, and it was like just this ridiculous freehand. And I'll tell people like, you're asking for one heck of a pipe, and I'll do it, but like I feel bad charging that, because again, like I don't work with briar yet. Cherry wood is a really good rival of briar. It handles heat really well. The grain's beautiful on it, and it's a lot like briar. It just obviously like you're not going to get like your traditional like your bird's eye, which is like what people typically want in pipes, which is like the crazy like little skulls you see on the outside of pipes. That's called bird's eye.
Yeah.
That's right where the straight grain meets the curl grain. So I feel bad charging anything more than 250, but I'll just tell people like, listen, like what you're asking for is insane, but I'm glad to do it. But remember, like this is a cherry pipe, and I'll get into briar probably the next maybe a year or even shorter. It depends honestly how sales go. Like if sales also took off, then I would obviously like jump into the briar game. But like 150 to 250 generally.
And do you feel like that's you're making a profit on that though? Because we were just doing the math on that, and it's not that much an hour. Like it's
like $18
Don't do the
an hour.
math on the hour.
Yeah, we won't tell you. We won't tell you. But like, it's like you said, it's a labor of love. It's something you're like.
And you obviously enjoy it. You have to, because like it is true. Like you put, like you say, you put so much time and effort into these things, and then you feel like, it's a good product and you want to get it in their hand. You don't want to overprice them, but it's like you really got to think like, what's your time worth at one point, right?
What's your time worth away from your family?
Because I did that for myself too with DJing. Like I was just like, I don't want to charge them too much because I know how much DJs actually charge, and like you kind of want to stay in the market, but you want to stay above the black. Like you want to make sure you're making a little profit and make it worth your time.
Because people will hose you for sure.
So like when I first started, back when I messaged a couple of you boys from your club, you guys weren't the first ones to buy, but I had a couple coworkers who did, and then like on the day of like, hey, your pipe's done, here you go, like I really appreciate it. They were like, like would you take would you take $20?
$20.
Whoa.
Oh yeah. And like at the time I just started, and I was giving I think a reasonable deal. Nowadays, what I was able to produce, I don't even know if I would, I don't know what I would charge. But like, so I got to the point where I had to start taking deposit, because I'd had like upwards of 10 people trying to negotiate on pickup, and I was like, I'm all done the work now. And at the time, it wasn't like it is now, where I can post a pipe online and be like, hey, this is up for grabs, and it's gone, the next day or something, right?
That's awesome.
So it was like, so I was losing a lot of money. And then I do have the odd person who will like come up to me at work and be like, hey, like I just seen I have apparel as well, and they'll be like, I saw your sweater, like what is that? And I'll explain and show some pictures of my work, and they're like, oh wow, like what do you charge for one of those? And I'll be like, oh, this one was whatever, 160. And they're like, holy shit, like seriously? I'm like, yeah, it took me like 8 hours. Like, I don't know what you want from me, and look at the shape and the detail and like the shine of the acrylic and how it came out. And they're like, I was thinking like $60. That's ridiculous. I'm like, all right, then don't buy the pipe. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
oh, I thought you said that was how much it was for your hat. I was gonna say, I don't blame them. $160 for a hat. No. Like you say, it's not like you can. you're the shoemaker where you put it down on your bench and then tomorrow fucking morning a pipe's there, abracadabra.
Yeah, like if I was like a full-time maker, then yeah, if I started at like 6 a.m. on your piece, it could be done the next day. But like, I'm not a full-time maker, and like I have orders, so like I have a little bit of a list right now, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like that's the thing too. Some people are ordering and they're waiting about a month before they even get their piece. So
do you? I didn't see. Sorry, I was gonna ask you. The hats that you have, they're really sweet, by the way. What do you sell them, or do you gotta just kind of direct message you to get a hold of you for them too?
I do sell them. I don't have any right now,
Okay.
but generally how I was doing it was we were just doing it like we put it out there like, hey, we're doing a huge apparel order. Here's what's up.
Oh, okay.
Do it now, and when we put in the order, you'll get your stuff. As soon as we make whatever our quote was.
Mm-hmm.
I am looking to put a website together, so I'll have like pipes and apparel available on it, just so you can click and buy right away, and it'll be shipped out to you immediately. So,
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too. I was gonna say to you was if you had a website, that would make it easier for you for like where Jeremy was asking about like the process, for if you're using Daddy Shark or Mommy Shark or Baby Shark to pack.
I didn't say fucking sharks.
That you could put that on the website, right? Whereas like use the middle finger first and then use the not so middle finger.
What's that website place that Joe Rogan always pushes where like it's super easy to make a website? You drop and click. What does he always say? Crap.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
I'll Google it. But anyway, that's a really good place to make a website. But anyway,
Think of my wife was helping me with the one we're currently doing, and it was one of those things. I don't listen to Joe Rogan, but I always hear like on podcasts, people are always pushing like Squarespace and stuff like that.
MeUndies and stuff and Dollar Shave Club.
I'm laughing at the fact that you were just like, oh, you don't listen to Joe Rogan?
Like,
I see how it is.
No, you know what? I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like, it's funny. Like, so what podcast? So, oh man, we're gonna switch fucking topics here. Let's keep with pipes.
Keep with pipes.
No, I just want to know, like, what
what
podcasts do you listen to?
I listen to about I think 12 or 15 different ones a week. Like that's just they put out a couple different a week like in content. I'll just name a couple. Obviously, I'm a pipe nerd, so I listen to Pipes Magazine International. I listen to Country Squire. I listen to Pipe and Tamper, and I listen to Maple City Pipecast. Those are just the 4 pipecasts I listen to a week.
Yeah,
nice.
And they put 1 or 2 videos a week, so each.
Yeah, if we had more time, and if you weren't working out of town, we could probably do a podcast a week.
I could justify doing one a week, but and the length of them too. Like a lot of people are like, Jesus, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well,
it goes by quick.
Yeah, but it's if we do it every 2 weeks, then you've got 2 weeks to finish it, and then the next one will come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, like other podcasts where he's putting out like one every other day. It's like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Yeah,
a
like
week,
the one guy, the one podcast, Maple City. He talked about it the other day, and he was on his podcast. He was saying like his original idea was like all these other podcasts are between like 2 hours and 1 hour, and he's like, that doesn't work for my commute. I like a 15-minute, and that's all he does. And it's like, that's great, but for me who works 8 hours, I like what you guys put out, like the 1.5 to like 2.5 somewhere in there. Like,
yeah, we try to aim for an hour and a half. We'll say we'll do an hour and a half, and then usually if it gets good, like we're having too much fun, then we just keep going. And then we're like, oh Jesus, 3 hours, holy shit.
So if an hour and a half we hear, well, it was really nice talking to you, you're getting the fucking hook. You're getting the hook. Remember we talked.
I think I made that comment. Yeah. I think I said, if you guys cut me out after an hour and a half, I guess I suck.
But people are so nervous to go on podcasts. Like I was talking to sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was gonna just agree. Like I kind of know you guys just through Instagram, and obviously like I contacted you originally about buying a pipe. I think I talked to you for a little bit about buying one.
Yeah, me anyway. I don't know about Ernie, but definitely me.
Yeah, and I know like I did an interview with Pipes Magazine, and that's the big one in the pipe community, and I was terrified. Just the individual, like he's got 600 episodes, and
holy
they're all
shit.
an hour long, and he has like really credible sponsors in the business, and it was an hour long. Like I remember told my in-laws that I got it, and they were like, "Oh, you can come to our house and you can sit at our bar and you can drink whiskey and smoke a pipe in our house. Like, we don't mind at all. Like, go have at it." And I did all that, and I was still just absolutely shaking and nervous, and just I don't know. It just
Yeah.
it could be intimidating. So
Yeah. Fortunately and unfortunately, Ernie and I were subjected to being nervous our whole lives. Our parents put us into music where we had to compete in front of like judicators, and we were always on the kind of like a stage. A lot of our childhood, like we were pushed to kind of like about our boundaries. So when we're talking to people, or like for me personally, I went to school to be a pastor. I'm not a pastor. So I had to learn how to I'm good at public speaking, and I'm good at talking to people and learning those little skills and stuff. So when I ask people to come on the podcast, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know, man," I'm like, "What's the problem? Like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense to me." Mind you, our podcast is it's not huge, but we're getting some serious, we're getting some momentum. Like every week, it's more and more and more and more followers, and whatever. We just do this to have fun. We just do this as a hobby, but people get so nervous. Like the one guy was having like a panic attack. Not that he was he was having a panic attack. Our barber guy is like, "Oh my gosh, I'm
barber pole."
Yeah, Barber Pole and Co. But
that was one of my favorite ones you guys have done.
Oh, sweet. You didn't like me freaking out getting high?
Oh man, that was awesome.
It just like I had said to my wife, I was like, this podcast just contacted me, and I've been talking about getting on, and she's like, "Oh, that's exciting. Like, how do you feel?" And I was like, I don't know, like, because at the time I think you guys had Barber Pole on, and then I think you had one more guy at the time, and it was like, I'm like, they sound like they're just talking to their friends. I was like, I don't want to be the first guy on that's not a buddy. Like,
no. Well, so for instance, like when we had Fabian on, the guy who had went through his jail time, I had never met him before. So I was literally sitting. I had never met him. Ernie knows him quite well, but it actually adds that kind of the cool aspect. Like we can have more incentive to ask you questions because we don't know you as well. Like for instance, Dan, our piercer friend. At that point when I had him on the podcast, I knew nothing about his piercing. I knew nothing about his personal life to a certain point. Like we had hung out maybe a handful of times, went out for a breakfast. Like him and I just hung out and we just started talking on Instagram. That's how we became friends.
Yeah.
When he came on, I really didn't know him that well, but as we've done more podcasts with him, we know him more and more. So
yeah,
it adds that. Sorry, go ahead.
And you guys are super approachable. That's the first thing too. Like I said, when I did Pipes Magazine, it's super intimidating. The guy's Brian Levine. He's old. He could be my dad. Like he's just, super. And he's also been in the industry for 30 years. He's super. He's huge. For someone who's not in the community to understand who he is, it is very intimidating. And then when you guys wanted me on, my wife was like, "Are you nervous?" And I'm like, yes and no. I just never know what to expect, obviously. And this isn't it's not a pipe podcast I'm on, so it's I'm kind of representing the community being on here, so that's intimidating.
You weren't just they had fucking Santa Claus on there,
oh my god, that was out of control. That was unscripted, completely crazy. But yeah, well, man, we appreciate when people shout out. It doesn't happen a lot. Mind you, I've had a couple people ask me to come on, and I said, "Well, what are you gonna talk about?" And they're like, "Well, I just thought I'd come and talk to you." I'm like, "Well, you gotta have something to say though. I gotta have a back and forth. It can be fun. Yeah. When Ernie and I first started it, him and I have a back and forth. We don't see each other during the week, and we can laugh about stuff. But that it adds a little bit of an aspect when you don't know someone that well. Even before the podcast started, we were just chatting about you being a new dad, where you're at, and things like that about sleep and things like that. So it adds an aspect when you don't know someone. And Ernie and I are both even in real life, we're super approachable. I can just be on the street and I find I just talk to everybody anyway, so it doesn't even
even if people aren't talking to him, he comes up.
Yeah, I start talking to people. Yeah. I do.
That's a nice jacket. I'm not wearing a jacket.
Please get away from me.
Do you own a nice jacket?
Get away from me, sir. Oh God. So
get away from my child.
So when you are making, let's get back into pipes. So we're getting off track here. When you're making, so you posted on Instagram. So you have those cubed pieces of what are they called? A couple days ago, you posted about it.
Acrylic.
Yeah, the acrylic. So you laid those out to make them circular. So if you're gonna buy stuff like that, how many have you gone through where you've had a couple like scraps and stuff? Like, are you pretty good like getting into it?
I don't know if you
Did
guys
you
saw
just
my
ask
story.
him how shitty are you on a lathe?
Well, no.
Is that
So
what you said?
I've worked the lathe. I've worked the lathe
No, the
before.
lathe isn't the problem. The problem is that you take this piece of rectangle of stock, you turn it into a cylindrical piece, and then you have to drill it. And again, if you don't get the drilling dead center when you sand down, the buyer is going to see that these two holes don't line up perfect, and it looks like shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second problem is then you have to sand, and here's the thing too.
You can
When
just
you
say
first
that's a
drill
new
it-
kind of pipe. You can be like, no, it's a jagged edge. It's a Everybody's doing it now. You should see it.
And so then you drill this hole, and then you're supposed to start sanding, the mouthpiece into the shape you want it. Well, the problem is if you go too deep, you hit the hole, it's a piece of scrap.
Oh shit.
I've done it a couple times, but I'll post it if I do it. So I actually, I was commissioned to make a pipe for a guy in a podcast, the Maple City one, and I think I posted it last week or the week before. But I just had made it a rod. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I was like, I'm gonna get so far ahead on this piece, and I was tired, and I took it to my my belt sander, and I just was going. I'm like, that looks like it's deep enough. I should probably check it. And I look, and I had hit the hole. I was like, oh
Shit.
So then I had to go online, order that exact piece of acrylic, get in touch with the buyer, tell them like, hey, I just tried to get ahead and I put myself back a week. So it does happen.
Yeah.
I don't have an exact number, but most
No.
makers online, when it happens, they do post it because it is kind of like a, stay humble, and it's kind of a funny moment. But
Yeah.
it puts you out because you don't work that into the price. Obviously, like that comes out of your own pocket. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do machining, CNC machining, and like I was okay at it, but like they had me working alone, so they basically trained me on CNC wire cutting machines and CNC mills and stuff, and so like they had me working on those. I got training for 6 months. They really just wanted a night shift person, so they was throwing me on like a 3 to 3 shift. 3 in the afternoon to 3 in the morning, and I was scrapping shit. I was scrapping shit like every night. It was like, I thought this was part of the job. The boss would come in. What are you thinking? You fucking like just like he'd lose it. And I'm like, listen, man, you're leaving me alone all night by myself. And like, if you get like, when 3 o'clock in the morning comes around and you've been up all night, that's like a 12-hour shift. You're half asleep and you're just like staring at this computer. Things start going weird. Like I'm like 90% sure that place was haunted anyway. There was some weird shit going on, but like you scrap stuff, it sucks. So on my end, like I didn't really care because I'm like, whatever, man, it's not my job. But like someone like you have to be thinking about that constantly, put that kind of effort in. You're trying to make something look beautiful. It adds that more of a stress. But if you love to do it, like that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's funny. Like I would argue the mouthpiece is the harder part of the entire process, just because that's the part that goes into the buyer's mouth, and if it's not comfortable, well, then it's functionality of a pipe has to be comfortable, and then 3, it has to look nice, and it's hard because if you do it the mouthpiece wrong, then the whole thing's gone. And I do think that's the hardest aspect, just with, like I said, centering up the drilling, because not only are you drilling it, but then you're going to drill it one way, you're going to come in with a different bit the other side. So
you have like a shop at home, you do that?
Yep. Yeah, I have I actually do it right out of my basement. I have it all centered off and blocked off, so it all just stays down there, and I got to aerate it and everything right. So
do you smoke down there? Do you test I don't guess you wouldn't test a pipe, right?
Well, originally, I did have to, like, when I first made the couple, like in 2016, I did have to like hand out a couple to buddies, be like, smoke the living shit out of them, just try them, tell me if they crack, tell me if they do this, tell me what you don't like, tell me what you'll do like. I don't smoke in my house, just I have thought about putting in an air system in my shop, so then I can technically, but I don't know if I still would. So I don't smoke a pipe every day. So if I did, then I'd definitely be smoking in my shop. But
yeah. But you were saying you got into smoking pipes because you saw your grandfather had a bunch of pipes and stuff, and like, I wonder, like, that was so synonymous back then. You see all these older guys smoking pipes. Like, I remember there's this really cool photo of our great grandfather holding up this fish, or holding up two fish, I can't remember. And then he's got that one of those long, what do you call those, Stetsons? Is that what you called it? The long pipe, like Bing Crosby had. What did you call that?
Oh, like just the one that
Yeah.
Bing would.
Yeah.
The
What
one
is
that
it?
Bing would smoke. It was just like a super long billiard.
Yeah. So, like, that's like a synonymous. Like, you see these old photos of these guys smoking these pipes and holding up fish. Like, everybody smoked pipes back then. Like, maybe it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
like,
it was the thing. Like I'm not on Pinterest, but I have it as well because there's tons of inspiration and creativity on there.
yeah.
And there's people always post, like, the old posters you see. It'll be like 1955 Christmas, and it'll say, "You're not a man's man unless you smoke a pipe," or
Yeah.
if you want to spend the perfect gift, buy him, a 7 LE 320, like stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
It's
so cool.
Like, definitely. Everyone smoked one back then, so.
Yeah, and then people started getting lung cancer. So they started realizing, it actually does kind of, like, has an effect on you. But I think the tobacco back then, when you were smoking tobacco, there's different, like, systems they were putting it through and things like that. But, like, you're not really inhaling like a pipe,
Yeah, so it's different because it's funny you bring up the lung cancer thing because I'll almost argue with somebody about it just because. It's all, again, up to each individual. Pipe tobacco, in my opinion, isn't supposed to be inhaled.
Yeah, it isn't.
It's the same as cigar.
Yep.
Roll it in your mouth, blow it out. You don't need to be inhaling it. You're because there was, what was it? It was a couple months ago. The Canadian the government was trying to pass this bill to slam
vapes,
cigars and pipes with cigarettes, and it's a totally different thing if you do your research and you, like, because when I first got into it, wanted to really start smoking it, I made sure I did my research. I didn't want to get into something that I was going to get in trouble with. Like, I've never had a cigarette in my life.
Yeah. It's not worth it. It's like, I had it once. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's okay. Tell me, how was your experience? I'd never had one.
Oh god, it's terrible. So, like, my experience was I was drunk and my buddy and I were hanging out with these girls, and, like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be cool tonight, and then I, like, lit a cigarette, like, I was just trying to impress these girls or whatever, and it did not go over so well. I was like, I think I threw up half my beer, and, like, it wasn't a good scene. Yeah.
Yeah, cigarettes. So this is the thing. Like, I found articles on nicotine, and nicotine is in everything. Nicotine's naturally in tobacco. You can't get rid of it. You can control how much is into it. So, like, a cigarette has nicotine in it. They do nicotine additives, which is what makes you addicted to it.
Mm-hmm.
Pipe tobacco, they don't add nicotine to it. 2, you're inhaling paper. 3, you're inhaling all the chemicals. With a cigar is similar to pipe tobacco because they don't add any chemicals to it. It doesn't need any. It's just, you're basically smoking, like, the pure leaf itself. And again, you're not inhaling it.
Mm-hmm.
The most you would get with pipe tobacco is sometimes they'll do, like, they'll add, like, a topping to it. So, like, that's when you get, like, your cherry blends and stuff. They'll add, like, a cherry glaze to it, or, like, like, they'll pour whiskey into it and let the whiskey age a little bit. Like, that's your biggest threat. So, yeah, there's the odd case where an individual would get, like, cancer. Like, shit happens.
Mm-hmm. We get cancer from everything, man.
Well, and that's the thing.
You get cancer from, like, being on your phone too much.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
Like, I talked with my grandfather, like, just, like, through Messenger, like, weekly, and he was just talking with me and was like, have you smoked anything else yet? And I was like, no, like, I'm just gonna stick with the pipes. Like, a lot of guys actually get off cigarettes too because they find cigarette is, like, it's definitely just to, like, take care of that craving. You light it up and it's done in 2 minutes versus a pipe. Like, it's like you said before, it's a whole process to relax, sit down, unwind, take in the day, think about how your day went. Versus cigarette, I'm stressed out, light it, go.
Pumping
right?
them back like they're like, yeah, but they're disgusting. They smell disgusting. Like,
do you want to smell disgusting? Smell the ones from the fucking.
Don't get me started about
with the things
Indian
with the people.
Reserve.
Oh man.
Oh my god, dude.
It smells like burning death.
I talked with my grandfather, and he said back when he was, like, my age, he said he used to carry a pack of smokes, a pack of like Captain Black cigars and a pipe and a pouch and a tin of tobacco. And he said, I smoked from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. And he goes, I had a pipe, and my grandmother, I have tons of pictures of my grandfather with a pipe. He goes, my pipe's never lived there. It was so comforting just to have it like sit in my mouth. And I'm like, I'll never get to that point. But like the simple fact that like he liked tobacco so much, he was chewing it, he was smoking it. And when he wasn't having a pipe, he was having a cigarette or a cigar.
And how is he doing health-wise?
He's still kicking.
He's still around.
So he's fine.
Whoa! Yeah, man.
Like he hasn't smoked in like I think like 15 years or something like that. And he when he found out that I was doing this, they were downgrading their stuff, and he was like, yeah, we're looking to get rid of all of our stuff. And I thought, who better to have my pipe collection, than my grandson. You'll cherish it and take care of it. And I was like, not only that, I'm gonna smoke it. Like,
that's awesome.
Come on over. And he was just like, if you can get a hold of a bag of, my tobacco, I'll sit down and have a bowl with you for the first time in 15 years. And I was like, I'll see you there. Absolutely.
Oh, I bet that was awesome.
Did you do it?
We haven't done it yet. So,
yeah,
he gave me his stuff in December, and it's just way too cold outside. Obviously, that's the thing. Like, I don't smoke much pipe in the winter because it just, the thing with pipe tobacco, you don't really get. I would argue you don't get addicted to it. If anything, you get addicted to the process, and you know how pleasant it is, and you can take your time with it. So there's no rush to get the next, next hit in. So I can wait till it's a nice warm day, or if I'm off to work or something like that to have it.
Yeah, you find that moment where you can actually enjoy it. Like you wouldn't do it on it's back then you could smoke inside, like, you know what I mean? Imagine sitting down at a restaurant. Like, I remember we would go to the Tim Hortons, the local. I don't know how Ernie and I are in our 30s. I'm 32. Ernie's 182. So
I'm 28. So
yeah, so
I'll be 28 in a month.
I don't know. Do you remember when Tim Hortons you could smoke in Tim Hortons? Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh my god, dude! So like you would go into the Tim Hortons and you would walk in and there's like ashtrays on the tables or people are smoking cigarettes. Unfortunately, it made the donuts taste like cigarettes. The
whole building was fucking yellow.
And then eventually, what they did is they gave you a section.
Oh, the fishbowl!
They gave you it was like a fishbowl. You could walk into this section, which did absolutely nothing. It was like this glass door thing. You could walk in and go smoke in the smoking section. Like they used to do that at restaurants, like smoking or non-smoking. They asked you that before you sat down in the restaurant. It was the same thing. Oh my god, dude! Like you would go to a restaurant and be like, smoking or non-smoking? And you'd be like, oh, non-smoking. You smelled it everywhere. It wasn't like it did a difference.
You smell like it, you just don't smoke it.
But like, I wonder if they let people smoke pipes in restaurants back then. I'd have to ask them. Ask your grandpa.
You can still smoke on a patio, can't you?
No.
I guarantee they smoked them inside of the restaurants and stuff.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, like where I work, I've talked to a couple guys who, again, found out what I did, and they're just like, oh, are you the pipe maker? And like, when we're talking to me, like, I've been here for 25 years, and when I started, they used to have tire rims in the middle of the lines, and they would flip them upside down and just put a lined paper in it, and people are just smoking the whole time, and when they flipped it and they couldn't smoke it anymore, they'd come inside and clean all the tar and all the yellow off the walls and everything.
My God.
I'm like, can you imagine just smoking a pipe and building a car all day? Like, how much better could it get? Like,
yeah, well, it's a fortunate but unfortunate thing. Like I said, when I worked for this shop that I was working for, the guy who owned it smoked in the shop all the time. So guess what I started doing after 6 months of working there? I was I'd have like a cigarette. I'd be puffing on a cigarette, and I'd be like,
"You fucking didn't."
Yeah, I did. But mind you, I got I borrowed a cigarette off a guy who worked there, like mild, extra mild. But I'm like, I could sense that I wanted it because I was in blue smoke the whole day. And the guy would get mad at me and come over and smoke in my face. But, like, it was kind of like, if I had a cigar or a pipe, that would have been awesome. But
if they were jumping off bridges, would you jump off the bridge too?
Different thing, you prick. I'm just saying, like, if you were smoking on a line, like what he's saying, like, how I guess Ernie, tell them the story how you smoke pipes. Like, you got in a pipe a while ago, right?
I was doing it for a little bit. I just,
You had corn cob, right?
Yeah, because I was sick of paying for cigars. And I really like backwoods, but I found it a little pricey. And then you introduced me to, you had a pipe, and I was like, let me try that. And you had that, I think it's called Trip Cherry, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that.
Anyways, you were doing your daddy finger, but mommy finger thing. And then you handed it to me. And I was like, this is really good. And you're like, why don't you just go get like a corncob one though? So I went and got a corncob pipe, and I did it the first time, and I was like, yeah, this thing just keeps going out. You're like, yeah, you're not mommy finger, daddy fingering it the right way.
You gotta do it the right way.
So you were showing me how to do that. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then, I don't know.
You were smoking a pipe for a while.
I was.
I got you pipe. I think for a couple years I got you that for Christmas. That cherry tobacco.
I still have the tobacco. It's still in good
dead
shape.
by now.
No, it's good. I did the apple trick, and it actually kept it. It's kept it pretty good. It's only been a year. I think it's only been a year.
I'll get my hands on some of this cherry tobacco and I'll send it your way. You gotta try it.
All right.
Yeah, I'll send it your way.
That works for me because I've never tried cherry tobacco.
And this
So,
stuff's-
but I did just buy a huge bundle of tobacco from a guy in Kijiji who was selling his whole cellar. I don't know why he was selling it, but I saw it and
Whoa.
messaged him and had my brother-in-law go over there and grab it for me. So
Where was it?
Trenton, it was like It's
Oh,
over
wow.
500 grams of tobacco.
Whoa.
So I was just like, hey, go over there and get this.
Well, this-
Oh, you transfer the money.
So the Wappler, they're synonymous for their cherry tobacco. The guy can't keep it in stock. You have to call ahead and say, next time you have a cherry tobacco, can you put it aside for
Oh,
me?
it's huge. Everybody I ever, even guy like I said before, even guys who just find out, they're like, yeah, I just love, you ever smoke cherry? I'm like, no, I don't. They're like, oh, that's all my grandfather smoked. And I'm like, yeah, it was like, that was the blend back in the day. Like there was a couple different blends, but that was like you said, like it's synonymous in pipe tobacco is a cherry blend. And like, that's the one thing like that really draws me to pipe tobacco in general and like pipes and all that is just strictly, I like when I did the show a couple months back, like I was saying before, it not only I didn't sell a pipe there, but the one thing I got was more people stopped and talked with me and my wife than anybody else, strictly because they had a grandfather or an uncle or their dad used to smoke,
Yeah.
and it reminded them of their dad and it brought back that emotion,
Yeah.
which is exactly why I'm in it. Like
That's awesome, man.
that's the coolest. Like my wife's grandfather, I have his pipe collection. I have my grandfather's, and my son will one day, or if I have another son or even my daughter's interested, they will get my collection and they'll always have that, that connection to me.
That's interesting. I've never thought of women smoking a pipe.
It's a thing.
I've never heard. You think about that, Ernie.
I know.
You ever seen a lady smoking a pipe? Maybe like an old lady.
Old lady.
Maybe an old lady
I
who
haven't
owns like.
come across it, but I've seen it like in movies and stuff. They'll have like a girl, like a what was that movie? There was just a movie.
Is it recent?
Yeah, it's recent. It's like a Disney movie. The girl like
Moana.
A Disney. She was smoking a pipe in a Disney movie.
yeah, like I can't remember the damn. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Google it. I'll talk for a bit while you're googling it.
Little Mermaid.
She did have a pipe. Little Mermaid did have a pipe, and she's like, "What does this thing do?" Remember, she blew it, and the bubbles came out of it. Oh,
really?
Shit! Yeah, but that was under the water. You're not smoking tobacco under there, fucking.
No, it was something else.
Oh yeah.
It was
Like
water
that
tobacco.
watered leaf.
Yeah.
But that's hilarious. How women smoking pipes. So like, you can make a nice dainty pipe for a lady.
Yeah, like that's a thing. Like I don't know if you guys saw the one thing I had of the one acrylic I had. It was like purple and it had like hot pink and like white ripping through it.
Yeah, I saw
I
that
put
one.
it online and it was gone in 10 minutes. Like I had two women message me and were like, "Hey, I want that with a billiard," and that's because a billiard, it's like the Bing's, with the Bing's pipe, you can make it super, pencil thin shank with a small chamber coming up and keep it really light, and it's, you add the purple and it's, I like purple myself, but you see that color and girls go nuts for it.
So those pieces that you had, those multicolored ones there, is that like tends to be the main ones that you use, or is it kind of all over the map? Like those ones that you had like you were marking off that was sold, and some of them like was a checkerboard one, and
yeah, like it's all over the map. Like I do just your standard classic black ones as well. I do prefer working with acrylic over something like ebonite, which is what is traditional, like in the olden days. Acrylic is a bit, it can get a bit more shiny. It's a bit more, it can take more wear. You're not going to get teeth marks in it because your teeth will lose, and if you're going to bite it.
yeah.
But I find the colorful ones go faster. Like if I post a bunch of black ones, they're not going to go anywhere. If I post the colorful ones, people are like, "Hey, I want that one. It's green."
Hook
All
me
right.
up.
So do you are they? Now I know you said you did custom ones. Like, are you etching stuff into these things, like names and stuff, or what?
I can. I've had some people ask for like a 4-leaf clover on the side, or like an
Oh, that
anchor,
would've been cool.
or like some girls are like, I want a butterfly. I'm like, okay.
Sweet.
So
bro.
that's my own issue with butterflies, but yeah, like there are. Didn't you guys notice that girls and their butterflies?
Yeah, with those tramp stamps.
Tramp
That's the only thing I can remember.
That's
Yeah.
what brings butterfly to my.
Yeah, like I'm doing I'm gonna do a St. Patrick's Day themed pipe for this year and have it available, and I plan on doing like a 4-leaf clover on the side of it and rusticating it a certain way and all this kind of stuff. But like, yeah, like you do get pipes that are, someone wants like I don't know, like whatever it comes down to the maker. Like how artistic is the maker, right? Like if you want a nice pipe, that's one thing. If you want like this super detailed picture on the side, that's a whole other form of art, right?
Yeah, how are you doing that? You like carving it out?
That's a secret.
Just
Just
oh,
kidding.
don't tell me that.
It's-
Don't say it's a
No,
secret.
He
that's
leaves
good.
it on the bench, and in the morning
No, you
the pipe
You can go on
fairies.
YouTube and you could figure it out. It's just with a Dremel, but it all comes down to the bits you use, right?
Yeah, but no idiot. Not every idiot can do that. That's
I
for
can.
sure. There's no
Not
fucking
every
way
idiot
I couldn't
can.
do that.
Give me a Dremel, I'll take a whack at
There's
it. What do you
no
want?
way.
What do you want? You wanna? That looks like a stick figure. Yeah,
It's
that's
like
what you said
nobody.
you wanted.
It's like when people say they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a tattoo artist." No, you cannot. No, you cannot. Like, there's an art behind it. You can't just be like, you can't just give anybody a fucking Dremel.
I was telling Dan I was gonna start piercing ears with a
With a what?
There you go.
piercing ears. I
With
was gonna
what?
get the
You
the
could
cattle
pierce
gun.
ears, you weirdo.
No,
I'm
do it
just-
with a needle.
No,
Do it
no.
with the gun.
I'm just looking up pictures of like people who like, I guess you would say popular celebrities and stuff smoking pipes. There's a lot of old presidents that smoked pipes, like
Oh,
Gerald
yeah.
Ford and
Teddy
like
Roosevelt.
even like Mo Howard, the guy from the Three Stooges, smoked a pipe. Like,
Yeah, Mo. So did Frig. Curly did too.
Curly?
I just heard that the other day. I listened to this one podcast. Actually, it's Pipe and Tamper, and he does Behind the Pipe, and he'll talk about an individual. And he talked about, I think, Mo the other day, and what he does is he looks up, he explains the bio of the individual, but then he'll be like, okay, and his favorite pipe was this, and his favorite tobacco was this, and you'll get to find out. So like he's done Bing Crosby, and he'll do like Louis Armstrong. He's done a couple presidents. He did like Sherlock Holmes at one point,
that
and
would be cool.
that's always cool because again, like I said before, like I really take a lot of pride in the old school approach of the whole process, and obviously like hearing like guys like Bing Crosby smoked a pipe and all that kind of stuff. Or
Yeah.
I love the old school aspect of it.
So did you have somebody that you knew that was making them, or did you just kind of jump in like from YouTube, or like did you go and watch somebody else do it as well?
Yeah, so how I got into it originally was I think I said at the start, I went and bought a corn cob and
Yeah.
all that, and I wanted a nicer pipe, and I was like, I'm gonna go buy a nicer pipe, and I seen how much they were, and I was like, holy cow. And I was
Yeah.
only working part-time, and so I just went home and did some research and started playing with a 2x4, and you can't obviously smoke on a 2x4, like you want to die.
Yeah.
But I figured it out, like somewhat how to do it. Like, okay, this looks okay. I have the original piece I ever did. It sits in my shop as like a reminder, like, and then I just started looking up pipes on Instagram. Like I was just like trying to get into it, like, oh, like see what other guys are doing. I'm like, oh, wow. And I messaged the guy in Virginia, Ryan Brannigan. And I just started, picking his brain, and he was super approachable. I joke with him that he's the master Jedi and I was his Padawan. Like he essentially held my hand almost the whole way. And then at one point, like he was just like, hey, like, what's your address? And all this. And I told him my address and was like, why, what's up? And he was like, I'm sending you something. I'm like, all right. And it was, I think, a couple weeks before Christmas, and all of a sudden a package came in the mail, and it was 20 stems that were all done up. The tenons were all cut. They were totally finished. They were beautiful pieces of like handmade, stems. And he just wrote on a card, said, Merry Christmas from your buddy, Ryan. And I messaged him, said, like, what do I owe you? Like, this is huge. Cause at the time I didn't know you could buy anything offline. So I was just kind of like finding old crappy pipes at like thrift stores and throwing out the pipe and keeping the mouthpiece. And he was just like, all I ask is that one day when someone comes to you, that you'll do the same for them as I did for you.
Oh wow.
So that's how I got
awesome.
into it. And then, that's what I mean. Like, people don't realize the community. Like, there is such a stigma with smoking, but like when you see the community, you kind of get past it. Like you realize it's a lot more about relaxing and enjoying something and taking, an old timely approach at, relaxing at something. And the community is so giving and open and honest, and you can essentially message any maker and they'll tell you, like I said before too, like there are some secrets, but they'll tell you most things. Like it doesn't take a genius to know that, we use lathes and files and sandpaper and all this kind of stuff, but it's the little nuanced tricks of the trade. So
it's awesome, man.
So you've have you ever gone to see anyone else's setup, like a somebody that does a little bit more mass production of them? Have you ever gone to check out any of them before?
No, so at the time, I really want to. If I could go anywhere, I would probably. My wife and we went to Italy for our honeymoon, and obviously it was like a honeymoon. And if I could go back, if we could go back another time, I would, because Italy's huge for that. And there's a 7-Ele factory in Italy. I don't know if you guys know what 7-Ele is. Nope. It's like as big as Peterson, but like you can go to their factory and you can see like obviously like a factory machine setup versus like the place to go if you were to go to someone's shop would be like Denmark, but you have to be invited. You like obviously. Yeah, like it's huge. And like there are like I've heard some people who come on podcasts and we'll talk about it, and they'll say like, I got invited to, Peter Stokoby's, shop, blah, blah, blah. And I went up there for a week and, we made 2 pipes and all this, and I kept them for myself. And he told me to book 2 weeks next year and I'm going to go up again and learn more tricks. So that is a thing, like, going to each shop and learning a trade and learning tricks and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I would love to.
Yeah.
But it's hard in Canada.
There's probably definitely something to be said, like getting those pipes that are like mass produced in comparison to one like what you're making, like a handmade. Like you're taking the time, you're taking the 8 hours. You're not putting in the CNC machine, like coding and stuff, and then stepping away and it's going to town. Like you're putting in the time. Yeah. Like, is there? Yeah. I'm assuming there's companies out there that just make them mass produced, right?
Yeah, like there's like off the top of my head, like Peterson. Most people know Peterson. 7-Ele does it as well. They just basically plop in the machine and, bam, your pipe's done. But your pipe's done, but you still have to stain it by hand and you have to correct certain little nuances. I do agree with your comment. Same as there's like some pipe. I don't know if you guys know who Dagner Pipes is.
Nope. No. Oh, is that in Ireland?
No, Dagner's in the States. Oh, and then there's also what's his pipes called? I think they're called Morgan Pipes. But those are 2 guys that got so big that they outsourced their pipes to factories over in Europe, and now their pipes come back home to them, and then they turn around and refinish them. Mm-hmm. And like so, like they'll like like I said, do the staining and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's not handmade. Like I don't ever want to get to the point where my pipes go to a factory and that's my product, because I'm like then I lose that art form. Like that was the one thing that like a lot of people say, they're like your pipes are great and they're they really smoke well and they're nice, and you can you can tell there's work and hands involved versus just like push this button in here, bang, here's your billiard.
Yeah.
And a lot of people prefer that, and the price reflects it too, because that's the thing. Like a lot of those guys who get to the point where they can outsource their pieces, well, when they go to the they turn around and go to the factory, they can make their pipes way cheaper, but then you're not getting something that's handmade, right? Like I would argue that with anybody, and I've had that discussion with some people, not pipe makers but people, and they're like, oh well, what does it matter? And I'm like, if someone wants something handmade and tangible, and you can see that the hard work and the sweat involved and hours involved, and not just 45 minutes,
yeah,
some people really appreciate that time and effort, and your work will reflect it.
Yep. Like for instance, there's this like boot company that's over in BC, and they hand make every single boot. They do all the hand stitching. Mind you, you're paying for it. You're paying for these immaculate boots, but like they're amazing. Like I'm eventually gonna buy my wife a set. We've been looking at it, but like the people, like that's
way to ruin the surprise.
She doesn't listen to the podcast. Are you kidding me? She doesn't. But like they take the time, they put the quality in, then you can see it in the like. They do custom ones, but they do every little piece by hand, and they do all the work.
Yep.
And then the quality's there, and you can see it, and you can feel it.
They make the laces and all that too.
Yeah, they shove it up your ass. Yeah, yeah, they do. You fucking prick. I'm just saying, man. It's cool.
Like into blocks.
Yeah, I'm just saying, man. It's a cool thing what you're doing. That's all I'm saying.
You should just melt it into a circle.
I run around and take kids' toys and I melt them with my torch and make little blocks.
Nice.
Oh, God.
Nice.
Yeah, it's.
Go for the Caillou DVDs first. They aren't worth much.
I'm gonna need those in a couple of years.
Oh man.
What, Caillou?
Yeah, Caillou DVDs for my kid.
Oh man, if I can give you any words of wisdom, stay the F away from Caillou. Caillou is a whiny little bitch. There's any kid that I would shove down a well, that'd be Caillou.
He's down the well.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Fuck
God.
Caillou.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
man. I think pipes are cool, and I think I'm gonna get back into pipes after this. I think
you should, and
yeah.
I think you should find a guy and get something cool. Maybe get a PM&A podcast theme one or something.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna go
for the
that
both
far.
of you.
Oh, what's something cooler? I'm just kidding.
Hey! Nah. This is just a passion fades.
No. I mean, like
Number 12, we're done.
yeah, after the 12th podcast.
No, 11. Fuck it.
Yeah, this last one.
We're up in smoke.
Just everybody knows this last part. No, I'm fucking kidding. No, I get some. I get some.
You can stick this in your pipe and smoke it.
I get some rad. I like. So it's interesting that you're gonna be getting into the briarwood soon, like, with the carvings and stuff, and like.
He said he had pink ones.
Okay, shut up for just a second. So, you get those pipes that have like that live wood effect on them. Is that briar, or can you do it with any wood?
Plateau.
Yeah.
What was your question?
So sorry. yeah. No. No.
Can you put a pink one on?
So, what is the difference of wood then? Like, why is briar so expensive when people buy a briar pipe?
Just because briar is the king of pipe, because it's just literally I don't know if you guys know what briar is. I'm assuming you have some idea. It's a root of a tree that's only along oh crap, where is it?
I've heard of a patch, and that was just from Winnie the Pooh.
A briar patch?
Yeah.
But the plateau you're asking about is on the outside of the root, obviously, and it's typically with the straight grain. So some makers will leave that on, obviously desired shapes. Like some shapes don't really make sense with that concept. But a lot of freehands you're going to see online, or even I've done a couple with the plateau on the outside because Cherry does have it if you get the right piece. But it really just comes down to the maker to leave it there or not make it, or leave it there. Sorry. So
I'm just googling briar, and it's like an English. Obviously, it's English for crying out loud.
I believe it's along the Mediterranean.
Would you find a quacker near it?
No, fuck you and your quackers. Shut up. Anyway, it's an uncommon thicket. But I guess it's just like a really rare wood or something. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a root. So it's the root of the tree, and it can take up to like 40 or 50 years for it to grow into the proper dimensions that you need it. And I know it's super hard to harvest.
What?
That's why it's so expensive. Yeah.
Oh, no wonder they're so bloody expensive. That'd make you even more nervous if you're.
It's expensive though.
That's the thing. Like I had that's the whole thing with like I've been doing this now for 3 years, and 2 as I guess I'm coming up on 2 as a business, and it's people. I get messages all the time. People are like, "Why aren't you into briar yet? Like you're ready for it." And it's just like because I don't want to spend X amount of dollars on a block and screw it up, and then like right now if I screw up a block, well then it just goes into, I call it the Nate bin, and eventually I make myself a sweet pipe, and it just, the thing is if you misdrill a little bit, it's not going to smoke, I would argue, any different, but like I can't sell a pipe that's not drilled properly.
Right.
So it just, versus like briar, it would just make me even more mad.
Because you spend the extra
So
money.
until I'm like dead set perfect, I'm not touching briar. But after I talk to people and they see my work, I eventually will tell them like, because I don't advertise, I don't use briar. I let people come to me, and then I get to explain like, listen, like briar is not the only pipe wood. There's also like, cherry, maple. Like you can use those 2 woods. They're both, they can both take heat and they're nice. I've also used ash, which is what the Native Americans used originally for peace pipes. But yeah, like I'm just not going to touch briar until it's time. So.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
So you advertise on Instagram, and you're going to start a website. Is that the only platforms that you use, or do you have something on
Like
Facebook
Twitter or something?
I don't have a Twitter. I have a Facebook, but I don't really do anything with it. Honestly, if you want to see what I'm doing and you want to get in touch with me, go through Instagram. It's the fastest way to get in touch with me. I don't take the time to post on both Facebook and Instagram, and I find the response is so much faster, and the business I get from Instagram it's so much easier just to do business and discuss and everything. So I personally prefer Instagram just as a platform.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because I know they have those boosts, and I was talking with Tony about it, and I was debating using one, and he said even for his business, he did the he tried it.
Facebook
I think it was like
boost.
a 5.
It was a Facebook boost.
Was it a Facebook one?
Yeah.
He did the cheap one, and he's like, I didn't see shit.
Yeah, it just shows him who saw it, but it didn't affect his business in any way.
Yeah, you guys talked about it on the podcast. I remember that.
Yeah, and I was thinking about doing it because I have, believe it or not, I have a lot of people that'll message me on Facebook for DJing, but they'll have a lot of comments, more comments on Instagram, and I have a Facebook page for it, but I really don't see a whole lot of traffic. Like, I just put it on there just so it's on both social media things. But, like, my main one is Instagram because I think it's just so much easier, and I think it gets a lot more foot traffic for me personally anyway. I was going to ask you if you're on both and what you're getting more from, but you're saying that Instagram tends to be the one that you lean towards, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find just, again, like the community, it's a lot easier to connect with the community through Instagram than it is through Facebook.
Yeah.
So, because you just type in pipe, and it's like, boom, you get like 50 different makers, right?
And the hashtags too, like the hashtags make you a lot more accessible too.
Yeah.
So where's the furthest someone's bought a pipe from you in the can? I mean, like, not Canada. I mean,
in the Canada.
In the Canada world.
In the Canada.
I just sent one to a guy in Saskatchewan.
Oh, nice. Did you say you sent?
But I also I just mailed one to a guy. So I had a guy. I've sent two different people in Texas. I just sent one last week to a guy in New York.
Oh shit!
And I had somebody message me from Ireland.
That's cool.
So that'll be pretty wild to have one in Europe. So.
That was the butterfly one, I bet.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a butterfly with a clover on the butterfly's ass.
Nice. It was pooping out little clovers.
Oh my god. No, I think the coolest part is that you can make custom complete ones. Like, for me, if I were gonna buy a pipe for someone, I'd tell you about them. We'd make it custom so that when they can get it, they could appreciate it more. Like, for instance, we know someone who smokes a lot, and if we were to get him like a really cool pipe that had incorporated like marijuana leaves or something on that would, and like one of those green. I forget what the hell that stuff. Sorry, the stuff that you've been using in
the acrylic.
The acrylic. Get like a nice green and white acrylic like mouthpiece on it, and put like some pot leaves on it. That would be a cool pipe for somebody to smoke weed in. Like, that'd be awesome.
Or like a wolf head.
No, I saw an acrylic, and I was so tempted because I was like, it happens about once a month or every other week or so. Someone will message me like, hey, like, can I get a weed pipe? And we just start talking and stuff. And I saw an acrylic, and it was a mix of white, yellow, red, and green, just like swirling through. And I was like, that just yells Rastafarian pipe to me for some reason.
Yeah, that does. Like a Rasta.
Yep.
That's cool, man. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, the total custom option is what I think gets a lot of people. Is like, you can message me and be like, hey, I'm German. Can you make it, German colors? Or, I want it. Like, a lot of people will be like, I want to. Like, I'm a Minnesota Viking football team fan, and I've had people message me and be like, yo, I'm a Giants fan. Can you make me a Giants themed pipe? And I'm like, yeah. And like, you go online and I'll find like a replica Super Bowl ring, and you make that fit the exact dimensions of the shank, and you put that there, and then you put the colors involved, and like you get this seriously themed pipe, and people go nuts for it, and people don't realize you can do that. I'm like, anything in your life you love, I can make a pipe.
I can make a pipe about it.
Yeah, like you love unicorns
like,
and cupcakes.
Some people honestly buy it, and they're like, I just have it on my mantle. It looks nice, and it's a conversation starter, and
That's cool, man.
That works for me. So.
That's got It's as long as it's paid for and they enjoy it. Who cares?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I get asked a lot too. Like, I've been asked, would you rather mail it or meet me if someone's local? I'm like, I'd rather meet you because I like to see the look on their face when I hand it to them. Like, I want their. Yep. I'm always nervous to see if an individual how they react to it, right? Because you always get that, like, you can get one of two options. You're gonna get someone who's just like blown away by your work, or someone who's like, yeah. And I'm always thinking it's gonna go that way. I'm always nervous. I'm super critical on my own work.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you're critical, but in a good way where you want quality. So that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, like, I always judge myself on the other makers I see online too, right? So I try to keep up with them, and that's the thing. And when I get some messages from people, they're like, "How much are your pipes?" And I'll tell them, and they're like, "I would have thought it was so much more." I'm like, well, I guess that's the best compliment I could have got.
Yep.
But
and it's nice too, because I know with DJing, like the network that is out there. There's so many people out there that have been doing it such a long time, and they're really, really good at it. And they're more than happy to like, if you got a question about, say, lighting, or you got a question about, song choices for certain events, that like there's a community out there that's more than happy to throw in a little info or give you a tip about maybe do it this way or do it that way, and that it's not just sink or swim, don't talk to me kind of thing. That's and the other thing is too, like you say, you want to meet with these people, is if you're putting out a decent quality too, like that pipe alone is good advertising for you too, right?
Yeah, and like I've even had speaking of themes, I even had what was it, this biker club, not like a huge one, but it was like more like a charity one. Yeah. They contacted me, and each guy wanted his pipe, but they wanted like they're just like this specific ring on it, and it was just like some weird skull thing that they ordered, and I made them like a set of 5 pipes for their gang, or not their gang, but like their club. Sorry.
Their gang.
And it was like,
it's 1%er. I can't talk about.
It wasn't 1%.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We'll say it again.
Oh man, that's so cool, man. So is there is there anything like people don't know about pipes you want to like tell people now that you have like an opportunity, like beyond like what we've talked about? Or was there anything you wanted to like get into, or?
Well, you said not to be afraid, like the whole misgamer about
lung
cancer and things like that.
Well, like the thing is like if I like when I see someone smoking a cigar and they want to talk to me who walks up with a pipe, the first thing have you ever tried a pipe? Like my first thing I would tell people if I had to give like people advice, and because you talked about like, I'll spend $30 on a stick, and I think that's insane, because again, look at the world I come from. But I learned. I would tell quality. People if you pardon?
I just like quality cigars. I'm just picky now. I've smoked cigars since I was like 18, and that's over like 12 years now. I've been smoking cigars, and I just like quality. I'm kind of spoiled in that way.
No, you can. Yeah, like, and you can tell the difference. My point was just that, like, how fast like you're spending, because that's the way I looked at it, was how fast you spend, that 30 or for me, like whenever I bought cigars, I like this one stick. It was by Asylum, and it's called Insidious, and it's the only cigar I'll go smoke now, because I find it so smooth. It's like a $15 stick. It's a good stick for $15, and it lasts you about 45 minutes. And I'll look at that as I smoke it. I'm like, that's $15 I'm going to spend in 45 minutes, or I can go buy a tin of tobacco and I can enjoy it for 10 plus hours.
Yeah.
You can get this custom pipe, or, again, like I tell people, don't buy my work. Just think about trying that as a different avenue for enjoying a smoke and, de-stressing, or just relaxing, or, having some whiskey or scotch, or in a glass of red wine, and you compare it with different tobaccos. Like, that's a whole nother thing we could get into, is how you compare. You can simply just pair tobacco to coffee or wine.
Oh my god, I didn't realize that was a thing either. Like,
that's a whole nother avenue.
When you're pairing,
pardon?
When you're pairing like a nice cigar with a nice cup of coffee, like I didn't realize that was a thing.
World.
Yeah, it's so like people don't know this. Like when you have those...
I did it by accident.
You did it by accident.
Well,
what kind of coffee?
My work gives you 2 weeks off in the summer. Everyone has to take it, and I was like, at the time, I'm gonna smoke every single day, pipe, cigar, and I had a cigar, and I was like, I'm gonna have it with my coffee, and I again, like, I don't even remember what the stick was, but I took a sip. And then I took a drag off the cigar, and I took a sip, and I was like, holy shit. And then I just did some research, and it was just the mild tones in the cigar bring out the bold tones in the coffee. And I was like, what the hell? And then
man, it's a weird
just doing
science
research, this is a whole thing between whiskeys and wines and even teas. Like everything can be paired together. You just have to, go through the avenue the correct way.
Yep. Yeah, I realized that with like I like to smoke, not smoke. I like to drink single malt Scotch. Actually, you don't call it Scotch. You just call it single malt. And like with a really nice cigar, it pairs so nicely with the peatiness. And so like I could only imagine if you had like a nice English blend, tobacco and a pipe, and have like a nice peaty single malt. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Yeah. You could. That would be.
Now you're saying you need me to come over.
Yeah, it sounds like I got a really nice bottle of Lafroig 10-year, and we could get some pipes, and we should do a live version of a podcast sometime. Just smoking pipes and drinking.
Works for me. I got like 800 grams. I'm more than glad to bring you some tobacco.
Sounds like you got some tobacco there. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh man. This has been a very educational podcast. I've learned a lot about tobacco.
Super educational. I love it.
I think that was awesome.
The opportunity.
Yeah, man. We really appreciate you coming on. It's been a great chat. Definitely have to have you back on. We got who else smokes? Nobody I know. You know who would You know who would like a pipe would be Dan.
Dan?
Yeah, I think Dan would like a pipe. I'd have to ask him, see if we could put.
He's got that vape fucking thing though.
Oh yeah. So yeah, do you know the differences between those vaporizers, and why do people smoke a vaporizer instead of smoking a pipe?
It looks stupid.
It looks stupid. I know. It looks like so those vapes that people are smoking, those smoke things.
I don't think it's for cigars though. I think it's for cigarettes for people if they want to wean themselves off.
Can you smoke?
Well, because you can control the amount of nicotine that comes out the vape, right?
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Like I've tried it. Like I was at like a poker night like a month ago with a bunch of buddies, and some guy was vaping, and I got super drunk and was like, give me your vape. It's way more convenient. And holy cow, that thing is so much more harsh on me than anything I've ever smoked. Because one, I don't know if it was just, I'm assuming it's all, but like when you inhale it, the vape comes out like red hot, and it just torched my lungs. And I was like, holy screw that. But like you can control the nicotine and all the other additives that are involved, and you can, make it so it's a super complex and smooth, intake for the individual.
Yeah, but it's a totally different animal than cigars
it's so
or
different.
pipe, though,
like,
right?
It's just insane.
Yeah, it doesn't...
Because it's meant to wean you off of cigarettes, which you're inhaling, whereas a cigar or a pipe, you're not inhaling.
But they don't know what that stuff does to you yet. Like, I was talking to my... You know what I mean? Like, people are talking about, like, this thing called a cauliflower lung.
A popcorn lung.
Yeah, or popcorn.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People don't know yet. Like, they just like jumped on this bandwagon of this vaping. No offense to the people that vape. Like, no, that's cool, but like you got to be careful kind of about what you get into. Like, people have been smoking pipes for like hundreds of years, and like you're jumping on this vape train. Like, we got to be careful about what you're putting in your body.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
you see that one that exploded?
I do get people that judge me, like even at work, and even friends of mine who are just like, call me in 20 years when you have mouth cancer. I'm like, okay, enjoy your vape, you douche. Like, you don't know what it's going to do to you in 20 years. At least I know what I'm signing up for if it happens. And at the end of the day, if that's in the cards and that happens to me, I'll accept it. I made my choice. Versus in 30 years, you need 2 lung transplants. Who's going to be laughing?
Or like,
obviously, something to laugh about.
I don't know if I want to be breathing in something that requires a battery.
Yeah.
How often they blow up in your face?
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. My wife told me, she's like,
man, his face was destroyed.
Yeah.
And it's not the first time. And it's because you can do these stupid mods where you buy this kit and you modify it yourself and you wrap the wires and all this crap. I'm like, screw that.
The funniest part about the whole thing is that you have these conventions, these vape conventions, where people just blow smoke. You're just blowing smoke. Or they have like competitions where they blow the smoke. And they're like, I'm like, are you guys choo-choo trains? Like, what are you, like... Like, I drive down the road and you see them, like, billowing out of the car. I'm like, hey, everybody, here comes the choo-choo!
I'll make your entire audience die right now. I think my wife showed me it. I don't know where the link was, but I'm sure you can Google it. Google vape-themed wedding.
No.
Come on.
Do it right now.
No.
Vape-themed wedding?
There are
Jamie, put it up on the screen.
Who... Like, they take vaping photos. It is the funniest thing you've ever seen. I saw it, and I'm pretty sure it was my wife. I was like, You know, that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I took no photos with a pipe for my wedding just to, be respectful, and that's my own thing. So, like, when before we met for the wedding, I had a pipe, and I made myself a pipe for my wedding day, and I smoked it with the boys and all that. But then I look at these photos, I'm like, this is ridiculous. What the hell are they doing? Like,
yeah, I just saw one that was fucking Harry Potter themed, so vape doesn't seem so bad.
Hey man, I'd have a Harry Potter wedding.
The vape.
Oh my god! I see it. I see the vape wedding.
Oh, they got a vape bar.
They got a vape. Yeah, there's a vape bar.
You just lost every vaping audience you had.
Oh, you should see this photo. Like, look at this photo. I think
they're all choo-choos. Choo-choo.
The only person who's not vaping in this photo is the little flower girl. This is ridiculous. Oh, wow. Yeah, like, these people they're having a vape wedding. Okay.
See, now the Harry Potter one doesn't seem so bad.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No, it doesn't at all.
Or there's an alien theme one. Oh shit, this all just opened up a whole new can of worms. I saw a Shrek theme one.
That's scary. I saw that Shrek theme wedding maybe last week. It is creepy.
Have you seen the alien theme one? Everybody's wearing it. I'm sorry, I just looked up the alien theme wedding. Everybody except for the bride is wearing an alien mask.
No, that's
Predator.
That's Predator. Predator.
Oh,
showing Predator fucking masks. Hey, honey, let's look back at this in 20 years. Oh my god, people are so
rabbit hole.
People are so messed up.
That's a whole podcast. That's our next one.
Yep. Whoever knows anything about weddings, come on.
If you ever had a Predator theme, call the fuck in.
DM me on Instagram if you had a Predator wedding. Oh my god,
man.
Mind you, for my wedding, I gave out cigars to you guys.
Who?
Me too.
I gave out cigars.
I didn't get one.
Arnie, remember for the...
I don't even think I was there.
Anyway. Jesus
this just got awkward.
Yeah, this got fucking weird. Anyway.
I wasn't there either.
No,
so.
you weren't, man.
What the fuck?
Yeah, man, we like... Yeah, who knows?
I would have made you a pipe for the day.
He would have he would have dressed as Predator for you.
And then
with a vape.
And the vape coming out of his nose.
Coming out the nose.
All right.
Oh,
Jesus
fuck.
Christ. Well, anyway.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You know what, man? I just want to say thanks for coming on. We really had a good time. We'll have to have you back on when we got... or even, if you're, in town at all. Or, do you ever come to Cambridge?
I think I told you guys...
Or you told Ernie.
Yeah, you were talking to me there, yeah.
Yeah, and I have a really good friend who lives right in there, and originally that's what I was going to do, was I was just going to go stay with them and then come see you guys and do it there. So I'll probably we can make something happen. I have friends there anyway, so we do come to Cambridge quite often now. So
sure. We can do an outside one.
How are we going to do it outside?
Yeah. Oh, I got it.
Yeah, I'd love to come on again. I
really
appreciate that.
We could fucking iPhone it again.
We're not doing iPhones again. Well, we did that for too long. No more iPhones. We got the actual legit recording. We'll figure it out. We'll do a pipe podcast where we'll smoke some tobacco and then talk about it and talk more pipes.
Yeah, that works. I'd be honored.
Cool.
Be great.
So just so people know how to get a hold of our pipe aficionado. How do you say that when people are experts at something? I don't know, whatever the fuck I'm talking about. Yeah, aficionado.
Extraordinaire.
So head over to Roast Pipes & Co. and DM Nate and get yourself or your friends a custom pipe, and you won't regret it. They're handmade and
it's not really a pipe. It's a piece of fucking art. Let's be honest. They're really pretty.
Hey, you do a good job, man.
Functional art.
You do it. You do.
Fucking right.
It's some good
stuff.
A
piece of art. You're not allowed. You're not ashamed to light a fire in.
I think we're gonna have a chat after in a little bit, and I think I might be ordering a pipe off you.
Oh heck yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, man. You know what? Thanks a lot for coming on.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. That was awesome. Yeah, and like you say, when you're down here, we'll have to do this again.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Thanks everybody who was listening today. Like I said, if you want to get in touch with Nate and get some pipes, head on the Instagram. We'll get hooked up.
Let's hit up some sponsors. I want one for next week.
We're not sponsors. Nobody gives a shit.
McDonald's. Let's see if they pick us up.
No, we're not doing that.
They dropped your mom's podcast. Let's see if we
don't drop names. Anyway, thanks, Nate.
No problem, boys.
We'll talk to you. Have a good time, man. Peace.